YouTube, welcome back. My name is Josh, and in this tutorial we'll be going over how to set up your login screen with an anonymous user. And what I mean by that is a lot of times you see, like sign in with Facebook or Apple or Google or with their email, but what happens if a user comes to your app and they just want to try it out? They don't actually want to sign in with an email. Well, Firebase allows you to or allows them to sign in anonymously so they can test out your app. And then later on, you can give them a pop-up that, hey, to actually fully sign in, go ahead and use your email or Google or Facebook or whatever you want to use at that time. But initially, they'll get to sign in anonymously without much work or effort at all. So that's what this is going to be going over. Let me know if you have questions in the comments. Let's go ahead and begin. All right, so let's take a look at our code really quick. We have a login view. Then we have this UI button, which I just called login button. And then this code actually sets up this login button. Now, typically, I would pull out this UI button and make it reusable. But in this case, since I'm just showing you how to log in anonymously, it's not important for this video. But you can go ahead and do that on your own. And there's tons of videos out there of how to do that if you're not familiar. So the main thing I want you to see inside this setup login button, though, is this target that I add, which is just saying, hey, when this thing is tapped, go ahead and run this login button tap function, which is here. So I'll fold this up because we don't need that. And this is where all of our logic is going to go in. So we for sure know that we're going to need to import Firebase auth because we're logging in with Firebase, and you need Firebase auth to do that. Whether it is Google or sign in with Apple, or in this case anonymously, you're going to need Firebase auth. Now, all this is found in Firebase documentation, which it is really good. So if you do get stuck or confused, I highly suggest you start there because they do a pretty good job at explaining how to set this stuff up. Before we go ahead and write the logic here in this login tap, so whenever it is tapped, I want to show you the actual app. And real quick, I just lost my screen here. Real quick, you can see the app is here. Let me open up my phone for you guys. And click on continue. And you'll see it is literally just a login button. Whenever we click on this, that's when we're going to do the automation, anonymous login, not automation, excuse me. So I'm here at my Firebase. Let's go ahead and set up login anonymously here. So I'm going to use my Chuck Norris joke. This could be applied to any of your apps that you have out there that you have a login screen, you haven't implemented this. For my case, I'm going to use a joke app that I have that did not have a login screen yet. So, and I talked about how to connect your app in the video before, which I will link in the description if you're not sure how to link your project to Firebase. Anyways, keep moving on. So as we click on here, we can go to authentication here. If you do not see this, go down here to all products, and authentication should be here at the top. So go ahead and click there. And if you have not set up a sign-in method, you can click this tab here, and it gives you all sorts of different sign-in methods, email, Google, Facebook, so on and so forth. We are going to do this anonymous. So go ahead and click that, enable it, make sure you hit save, and then you'll see, hey, it's enabled here. Now, real quick, I want to show you if we click users, nothing is here right now. So now let's go back to our code and get this thing working. So in our code here, we are going to need to set up an auth. So let auth equal, and now that we imported Firebase auth, we can do this, capital AUTH dot auth, and set it down here. So auth dot, and this is going to be very easy. You can see right at the top, sign in anonymously with a completion. Now, the completion is optional, but we are going to do it because we want to make sure, hey, if there is an error, show an error. Now, we're not going to handle the showing of the error. We're just going to print it out, but you can see how to actually do this in a real app. So go ahead and hold down Option and then hit Enter on that, and it'll give you this completion here. So we're going to make this result, your typical completion, and this is going to be your error. And then here is where we're going to actually do handle unwrapping this stuff. So we're going to do, oh, am I losing my cursor here? Yeah. We are going to do, give me just a second. Let me find my spot. Let, or if let, I'm sorry, if let air is equal to air. So if it's equal to this air up there, then what are we going to do? Well, we're going to say, hey, there's an error. If there is an error, we're going to print in this case. And I like to do debug all caps. So whenever it does print in the console down there, you know that it's a statement that you did. And I spelled that backwards. Debug. And then we are going to go ahead and what was mine that I used? Error logging in anonymously. And I'm just going to copy this actually. So you can put whatever you want. You know, whatever helps you see like that there is an error printing out. I'm going to do error logging in anonymously because, and then print out the error.localized description. So if there's an error, that's what's going to happen. And then after that, we are going to just return out of here. We don't want to do anything else because there's an error. So that you need to, typically you'll display like an alert to the user or handle your error however you'd like here. Again, we're not going to go over that in this video, but that's where you would do it. So now if the login was a success, we are going to handle that here. And for now, I'm going to copy this. This does not pertain to you. So we're going to do a print statement, but just kind of follow along here and I will explain. So copy this. I'll also explain why it doesn't pertain to you. So I'm just going to print, hey, login was successful. So we know, hey, that we were logged in. But this, and if you do Command A, see how these are all over here, and then you do Control I, it'll actually even out your code to make it look a lot nicer. But especially when you copy and paste, you see that. But this is just setting up a storyboard that's main because my storyboard is named main. And then it's setting up this container controller that I have for my project. Again, you do not have this, but I am just setting this up so when login is clicked, it's going to take me to my login screen. And again, that's not really the focus of this video. I just want to show you how to set up the anonymously signing in with Firebase, but that's what I'm doing here. I'm just saying, hey, now we're initiating this with identifier container, which I set up. I'll show you real quickly. Inside here, this is my main. If I click on this, you'll see my storyboard ID is set to container. So that's where I get that from. And if that is true, cool. We're going to set this scene to be the UI application.shared. It is a singleton there, .connected scenes .first. And we're going to set that as UI window scene. If that is all good, we're going to do scene.windows.first.root controller. Root view controller, excuse me. And all this is doing is setting this now container view. So take this as you have a login view or a login screen with the login button that I showed you, and then you have a landing or a home view. In my case, it's a container view. Once you log in, boom, it's going to say, hey, that was successful, print it out, and then make this new screen the root view controller. So that's what I'm doing with this code here. Now let's go ahead and see just with that little bit what this looks like. So let's run this. I need to unlock my phone. And there we go. So here's my phone, and I'm going to go ahead and click login. And boom, we are able to now make this, which is my container view, the actual new screen. Now I'm going to just test this by clicking random Chuck Norris joke just to make sure it's working. You get the joke. Cool. And I am not getting my GIF. There it is. So there's the GIF. So the first one didn't come in for some reason. I will fix that later. But I just want to make sure it is working. If I go up here, I go to my favorites, and my favorites are working as well. So cool. My app is working. Now let's see if this works. So let's go ahead and refresh this. And boom, you see a new user, anonymous, was set up with this provider. And then this is their UID, which this is important because the whole reason for signing in anonymously is letting your user sign in without having to do an actual email or signing in with Facebook. It lets them use or test your app without giving any of their information. Now, after they use your app a little bit, you can prompt them to actually set up, hey, actually do a permanent sign in. And this, what it does is it takes this UID and sets it up with whatever setup you use. So whatever sign-in method you decide to use, give them multiple ones if you'd like. If I go add provider, again, you can pull all these up. So some apps you see, Google, Facebook, email, phone, they have all of them. So whatever your app is doing, you can force that onto the user later on. Say, hey, do you really like this app, or how are you enjoying this app? Click here to officially sign in, and then take them through the process of signing in. And the cool thing about that is it's going to keep, let me go back to users, it's going to keep this UID and set them up there. Now here's another cool thing. So here's my app here. I'm going to go ahead and get out of this, but not only that, go up to this Chuck Norris, take that, and I'm going to remove the app. All the way. Cool. Now I'm going to go back to my code, and we're going to run this again. There it is. Let me go ahead and get my screen back up. And we're going to hit log in. Boom, we're back in like we were before. And let's see if it's working. There it is. It's working, giving us random GIFs. Now let's go ahead and refresh this page. It's taking a little bit. Firebase is acting wonky. I don't know what's going on with that. And we're having some issues. Give me just a second. All right. So we're going to go back into Chuck Norris jokes. We are going to go back into authentication. Sorry about that. I don't know what was going on, but it hung up there. Refresh that, but you'll notice there's not too anonymous now, because it knows with this phone, this device, even though I deleted the app and reinstalled it on this device, it still keeps that same UID. It's not going to keep creating new anonymous. So you can actually, in your app, set up a log out if you wanted for anonymous, and they can log out and log back in, and it's not going to keep creating new users. It's going to use the same one. So that's pretty powerful, and that's all taken care of by Firebase in the back end. There's nothing you need to do to set that up. And that's going to do it for this video. So I know it's short and sweet. I hope you learned something from it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see my upcoming content, ring that bell. And if you have not yet, please subscribe to the channel, as it helps me get my content out to others who may benefit. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.